everybody, so today I'm here to do a Q&A on Instagram. I asked you guys if you wanted one and you voted yes, so I went ahead and I asked you guys to leave some questions and I'm here to answer them. I was gonna unclip my hair so it might have looked like maybe I filmed on a different day, but it was out of my face and I'm kind of feeling that, so I'm just gonna leave it how it is. But spoiler alert, I do one film day, if you guys hadn't caught on before. So there's definitely a ton of different questions on here. I'm probably not going to be able to get to all of them. Okay, the first three questions are going to be the questions that I get the most often, and even if there's not a Q&A, I typically do get a comment on Instagram, probably at least once a day with one of these questions, and it is, how many kids do we plan on having? Are we done? Are we going to have more? Also, how do we pick out the girls' names, and why don't I show my kids' faces? So first and foremost, are we going to have more kids? Yes, we want to have 4 children. And moving on, what was the second one? How do we pick the girls' names? I said this before, but it's basically just names that we could agree upon. Mark is very, very, very particular about different baby names, and he's just kind of the worst when it comes to it. So I normally have like a list a mile long, and he shoots 98% of them down, and that's just basically how we pick the girls' names. He liked Sophie, I like Sophie, that's what we went with. We could never decide on a middle name, so I told him to pick it. He picked Ray, so that's her name, Sophie Ray. And then with Remy's, we narrowed the list down, and he hated all the ones on my list except for Remy and Olivia, and we just kind of couldn't find a better middle name with Remy than Olivia, so that's what we went with, Remy Olivia. So those are the girls' names, and yeah, basically he's just a nightmare to name children with. So I basically just have to wait for him to just cross off all kinds of names. And then lastly, why don't I show my kids' faces? And I think that I've said in a previous video that I would do a whole dedicated video on why we chose this and whatever, but thinking more about it, I think that would open me up to like criticism and comments and suggestions that I'm not looking for. You know, Mark and I decided this well before Sophie was born. She was our oldest, so it's been like this for years now, and we're not looking to change it. I'm 110% content with how things are, and it has nothing to do with YouTube. I wasn't even doing YouTube when we decided this, and it's just kind of carried over. Obviously, with me being on social media, you know, we had to have a discussion, but things weren't going to change, really. It basically just comes down to the fact that the internet is a creepy and unsure place. I'm not so like on a high horse that I think everybody wants pictures of my children and they're going to hoard them, and you know, there's going to be this database of my children's faces. I don't think that, but I also don't know what people do with other people's public pictures. I've seen horror stories of children's photos being used and like claimed as their own children from random people and different creepy stuff. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want my kids to be a part of it. And I personally know I did not grow up in a time where my parents had social media. I try to keep in mind what my kids would like and what they wouldn't like growing up seeing this. Obviously, I'm not going to be around forever. This YouTube channel will though, so you know, I try to bear that in mind. My kids aren't old enough to understand, you know, what the internet is, what implications could mean from putting stuff on it, and telling me that they're okay with being on it. So for that reason, I keep them scarcely limited on my channel and on my social media. Even on our personal social medias, we don't really post about the kids that often. Like I said, it's a personal decision, not anything to really do with like YouTube in particular. That's just how we've been from the get-go. First question is, do you use Honest Co. all-purpose diaper balm or the diaper cream for the diaper area? I used to use both, but then the zinc oxide really started drying Remy's butt out more than anything, and she has eczema on her bottom, so no go there. So we were using the healing balm. However, I found that didn't really do much for her. It was amazing for Sophie, but really hasn't ever done a significant amount for Remy, especially since she has had trouble with eczema in her diaper region. So we use exclusively the Era Organics diaper balm. That's what we use now. It's been amazing for her. And the next question, what are some things you'd recommend doing the moment someone finds out they're expecting? If you're not on prenatals, get on prenatals and call your OB or whatever medical professional you decide to go with, and, you know, just get checked out. But other than that, take it easy, try to relax, try to enjoy being pregnant and everything else that's going to come with it. Later down the line, read some books. I really liked, what is it called? What to Expect When You're Expecting. I really liked that book. I don't know. They have like apps now though. See, when I was pregnant with Sophie, there was like 2 apps, and now there's like a million. So really, I loved that book, but you could basically probably learn the same stuff on the apps. The next question is deciding factors on age gap for siblings. Now with Sophie and Remy, we knew we wanted our kids to be really close together. Basically, as soon as my OB would give me the green light to get pregnant again, we tried, and that happened. So the girls were 2 under 2. Basically, Sophie was a year and a half whenever Remy was born. And being on the other side of that now, with Sophie being 3 and a half and Remy almost 2, I don't want to do that again. I mean, it was great. My girls are going to be like super close growing up. Love them to death. Don't regret anything, but 2 under 2 was one of the most stressful things I've been through as a parent, and I just don't know that I want to do that again. If it happens again, it happens. But I'm just saying intentionally, if I had to pick an age gap, I think we want to wait for what we've done this time around, which was waiting to try and conceive until the youngest is almost 2, because we are trying to conceive right now. So Remy's gonna be 2 at the end of April, and it just feels better this way. So I think just moving ahead, that's probably what we would do too. And let's see, favorite recipes you make. Oh, and I've had a lot of people ask me about crock pot recipes, and honestly, I don't really use my crock pot that often. I will say that there are 3 dinners that I make in the crock pot, and I will never make them anywhere else, and that is sausage and pepper sandwiches, which is basically what it sounds like. Sausage, peppers, onion, and a big can of tomatoes. You put that in the crock pot with seasoning, obviously, and then you put some cheese on it, and you eat it either over rice or on a sub bun, and it's delicious. And then I also put my lasagna in my crock pot. That way I don't have to boil noodles and do all that jazz. That's too much for me. Or turn my oven on. I love my lasagna recipe, although we haven't had it in a really long time. And then I also make my roast in the crock pot. That is super simple. You get a chuck roast, you get a packet of that ranch seasoning, a packet of Italian, and a packet of brown gravy. Is that what it is? I think it's brown gravy. You mix that with a half cup of water, pour it over the roast. You can put vegetables in it if you want, and it's absolutely amazing. Best tasting roast I've ever had. It's the easiest I've ever made, and I just love it. And basically any other recipe that I make that I'm in love with comes out of the Instant Pot. That's my chili. I'm trying to think. There's like this cheesy turkey shells pasta thing. I don't know what to call it. What are the other ones I make? We do spaghetti, but we make it with spaghetti squash, and I make that in the Instant Pot. That's really good. I don't know why I can't think of any. I'm just thinking of chili this whole time, because that is something that we love that I make in the Instant Pot. But all of those are favorites in our family, and there's other things that I use like the Instant Pot for, but aren't necessarily recipes in it. Like we love having chicken salads. Next question. Do you have any suggestion for soothing sore nipples besides nipple cream? Yeah, there are the gel pads. What are they called? Gel soothies, I believe. Love those. Those are amazing. Also, just making sure you have a good latch or your flange size is good. That's also a good place to start. And letting those puppies air out. I know that's easier said than done, because I was always like, when am I just gonna like sit around with my top off? I did it after the shower. I would like lay in bed with just like the towel underneath me. That helped a lot. Next question, or I guess I should say questions. With having 2 little ones and possibly more on the way, what kind of small things do you do with your hubby to keep that relationship strong? I would say it's probably our communication and time alone. I would say those 2 things. You know, Mark and I were never ones to fight really, or even really disagree or anything like that before kids. It was very far and few between. But when we had children, there was added friction. There's more things to argue about, and you're tired and you're stressed, and you know, if you're gonna nitpick at somebody, you're gonna nitpick at each other. So we just try to keep our communication top notch. We have like pretty high standards for each other, which means like not slacking off and not being crappy at communication, and making sure we're sorting through our stuff and not just like shoving it away and not dealing with it and stuff like that. I just feel like honesty and being able to communicate like openly and feel accepted and feeling heard and that kind of thing, that helps a lot. And it makes me feel like I can always go to him no matter what. You know, even if it's not something like we have a problem. Just being able to communicate about anything and everything, especially the hard stuff, just makes me feel very close to him. And then, like I said, the alone time, you know, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I would say like about 60% of my day is just with kids. And I really appreciate being able to have alone time with him, because it makes me feel like, number one, an adult. Like I'm spending time with another adult, and I can talk to somebody who actually understands what I'm saying. But also, it just allows us to get back to like what made us come together in the first place, you know? So whether that be us playing video games, which is typically what we do every night, but every now and then a grandparent will take the kids and we'll go get dinner. You know, we don't really do anything like extravagant or special or getaways, which it would be amazing, don't get me wrong. You know, if someone wants to send us on a getaway, I'm not gonna tell them no, but you know, we typically just do stuff like that. We'll go to a concert every once in a while, and we just make sure that, I would say, about like once a month, maybe more, maybe less, you know, obviously just depending when we can get a babysitter, then we have that time alone so we can be Mark and Alia and not just mom and dad. That was something that we talked about before kids. We wanted to make sure that we could still be boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, husband and wife, whatever it might be, also while being mom and dad. The second part of her question was, what kind of things are you doing to prepare for your future baby while you are trying to conceive? I have been taking prenatals since October, I believe. Yeah, in October. So I just started doing that, and then I don't know, I'm just trying to take care of myself, you know. I think that's just what it comes down to. I'm trying to take care of myself. I'm trying to roll with the punches, keep my stress level low. I don't know, things like that. Every once in a while, you know, I'll indulge in like buying a baby thing that's gender neutral or something to just like let myself be excited. But for the most part, and I would say pretty much all of it, is just making sure that I'm taking care of myself, because obviously when you're trying to conceive, that matters. Next question, would you ever get your breast milk made into jewelry? Absolutely. I actually have bags of breast milk that I have saved from the girls, and I plan on, after I'm done having kids, done breastfeeding completely, to kind of defrost them, mix them all together, and then send that sample off and get that made into a ring, so it's breast milk from all my kids. And I even have like special little bags. So I have a bag from Sophie, just breastfeeding her, and then there was a period where I was pumping and I was pregnant with Remy. I just didn't know it, and it was before I had weaned. So there was a bag that I saved in that time period where I was pregnant with Remy and also pumping. And then I also have a bag from Remy, and then I plan on keeping a bag from our future children. And like I said, just mixing it together. I do want it to be something very nice though. I know it's not going to be cheap. I want something nice that I can wear every day. It's not going to tarnish or anything, and it's just going to stay nice. So yes, just not yet. It's hard though, because they are coming out with some beautiful, beautiful jewelry made from this, well, not made from the breast milk, but you know, like the settings are just, oh, they're gorgeous. And I want to get one right now, but I'm like, no. I'm going to wait, and I'm just going to combine all the milk, and that's the way I'm going to make it. Next question, when did you know it was time to potty train? I didn't know. If you watched the potty training video that I have, we just kind of guessed. We kind of took a leap of faith with Sophie. She was not telling us when she had to go. She wasn't telling us when she had a dirty diaper. None of that. We just felt like we should. I don't know how else to explain it other than we just were like, let's go for it. If she doesn't respond to it, we'll back off. But if she does, great, and let's just go for it. And luckily, Sophie did take to it rather well. I will say that Remy is definitely showing more signs than Sophie ever did. Like I said, Sophie did not hold her pee during naps or any of the things people typically say about like signs of readiness. Sophie had none of them. Absolutely none. I think the kid would still crap in diapers if she was allowed to. If we had never introduced it, I don't think it ever bugged her or that it ever would. However, with Remy, she's been holding her pee over her naps, which are still about 2 hours long, 2.5 hours long. And she's been doing that for about, I want to say 6 months now. And recently she's been telling us when she poops. So I feel like that's also a step forward. So I think we're definitely seeing those signs with Remy. But I will say that you don't need to see those signs for your kid to be ready. You know, Sophie didn't show anything and she was good to go. And she is now a potty training champ. So I really wouldn't worry about signs of readiness, just whenever you and your child seem ready. Next question. I would like to know what your daily schedule is with your littles. Do you have a certain time you do things or a routine? Not really. I just try to genuinely wear my kids out during the day. My kids are balls of energy. I mean, so intense. Sophie more so than Remy, but because like Remy will come chill with you, but Sophie has no chill at all during the day. So I just try to tire her out to prepare her for bedtime, so she just like goes down easier. I will say that we wake up between 8 or 8:30. We have breakfast right after we wake up, obviously. Lunch is always around 1 o'clock. Remy takes a nap at 2 o'clock, and then bedtime is always started, like bedtime routine is started at 7:30, and then the kids are in bed by 8 o'clock. And that's basically the gist of our routine. I don't really have anything more than that. You know, if I do things with them or we go places, I just kind of revolve it around those things. But like I said, I just try to tire my kids out, whatever that might be. You know, we build obstacle courses or forts or jump on the trampoline, like whatever it might be. So that's basically all there is to our routine, really. I keep trying to film myself answering this question and my camera's freaking out for some reason. So for like the 45th try, could you please say your name in a video? I've watched a lot of your videos and I've never heard you introduce yourself by name. Just curious how it's pronounced, and my name is pronounced Alia. So I have heard so many different ways of people pronouncing it, but that's how you say it. And I used to not like my name in elementary school just because people would say it wrong so often. The most common I get is Alia, and I've heard people butcher it, but I grew to love it. I now love my name. I have met other Alias. It's just crazy. As someone who doesn't have a common name, it's nuts to actually find somebody who has it. But yeah, I don't know what else to say other than that's how you say it, Alia. Next question. When did you feel like you were ready to try and conceive baby number 3, and what were the deciding factors for you and Mark? That's kind of a complicated question because I really was ready for another baby at like January, even maybe December. And I'm not talking about like last December, I'm talking about like 2016. And I don't know, I just kind of got this sense that I was ready. However, I obviously started talking to Mark about it. And I feel like when I get the sense of like wanting another child, all logic and reason leave my brain. I'm just like overwhelmed with that emotion and like that feeling. Whereas he was looking at it more like keeping in mind what we had already planned and what we were already trying to do, because we weren't ready financially to have another child, and we had financial goals we wanted to meet before we did try to conceive another child and things like that. So he was keeping those things in mind, which I appreciated, but it was also kind of hard to swallow at the same time. So I was ready a really long time ago, and I guess I shouldn't say that Mark wasn't ready. No matter when we would ever have a child, he's always ecstatic. You know, it wouldn't matter if it was planned, unplanned, whatever, or if it was sooner, later, whatever. He'll always be excited, but it was just like he wanted to meet those things first, like we had said we were gonna do. And me, I just got like this overwhelming sensation. I was like, no, screw it, like let's go. But we did end up just doing what we had planned. We met those financial goals, and we decided in January it'd just be a good time to start. And it was just, it's always just a feeling. I don't really know how to explain it other than we felt it with wanting to have Remy too. It was just something that we both knew, and we could feel that we wanted another child. And for me personally, it just kind of feels like a little something's missing in our family. And I can tell that that's not like a pet or something, some kind of new hobby or anything like that. Like it just, it's this kind of thing where it's just like, I feel like we should have another one, you know? And I don't know, it basically comes down to that feeling. But we did meet financial goals before we allowed ourselves to try and conceive. And I think that was probably the biggest deciding factor, because we just want to make sure that all that was squared away and we were ready to take this on, because having kids, delivering kids, caring for yourself while you're carrying a child in the United States is expensive. So we had to make sure that we were like ready to do all that. I'm EPing with my daughter who is just about to turn 7 months. I've definitely hit a wall and I'm starting to hate pumping, but I also really want to continue giving her breast milk until she's 1. Any words of advice to get myself through these last few months? Yes, just hang in there. Take it day by day. I've been in those ruts. They are really deep. They're hard to get through, especially if you've had like a complicated breastfeeding journey and it hasn't been easy. But I would just encourage you to keep trucking at it. You are really close. 7 months and like you only have to get to a year. You are really close. But at the same time, if you feel like weaning is what's best for you and your mental health and your family, don't be ashamed of that either. But if you really just like want to continue on, you feel like you're just like in a bad headspace right now and just in one of those little ruts, you will get through it. Trust me, you're doing amazing. Like 7 months, that is so awesome. Congratulations on that, first and foremost. I should have said that. But you know, don't be afraid to reach out to other like online communities. I know there was so many times, especially with Sophie, where I didn't know a whole lot of people that I could talk to. I would go on those Facebook groups and I'd be like, I'm gonna throw this pump out into my front lawn. Like, I'm sick of looking at it. And there'd be so many moms who would just like talk to me and they'd be like, me too, and we'd just joke and have fun. And like, don't underestimate the ability of a community and feeling like somebody's behind you, because it'll make you feel so much better just to know that you're not alone and that you can get through it one more day. I know a lot of people have like pumping buddies where like they'll just try to motivate each other each day and you can just chat about stuff and things like that. But just know that no matter, at the end of the day, whatever you choose to do, whether it's continuing or stopping or in between, that you're doing an amazing thing, that you're a great mom and you're doing the best that you can. So try not to be too hard on yourself. Next question. As you are trying to expand your family, do you guys plan to move or have the girls move into a room together? I don't know if you guys have enough room for 3 kids, just curious. If you do plan to move, what are you guys doing to prepare for that? No, we don't plan on moving. The girls are gonna share a room, but that had nothing to do with like whether or not I'd get pregnant. We wanted them to go ahead and share a room regardless. That was something that we've talked about like well into last year. Just something we want to try out with the girls. They are really close. They love being around each other, and I just thought it'd be a really cute idea for them to share a room. So they're going to be doing that in October, regardless of anything going on with me, whether I'm pregnant or not. So that's going to be happening. But as far as this house, yeah, we will have enough room if I do get pregnant to have another baby here. We could even have our 4th here, but we won't. That is that. Next question. What editing program do you use to edit your videos? I edit with Filmora. Before I had Filmora, I just used Movie Maker, which was amazing and it sufficed for the time being. However, I wanted different transitions and different subtitles and stuff like that. I just wanted to have like more customizability. So is that even a word, customizability? I don't think that is. I think I just made that up. Anyways, you guys know what I was trying to say. But that's when I moved to Filmora and I got it for like $30. And then I think I'm wanting to upgrade now because Filmora is driving me a little nuts. But it was really great in the beginning because it pretty much is the gist of Movie Maker. The more expensive the editing program, the more it freaks me out because it just looks so intimidating. But Filmora is really like a great starting point. And I also got asked a lot about my camera. I use a Sony AX5100. I think that's what it is. I can't remember. It's either a 5000 or a 5100. Can't remember. Hopefully getting a new camera within the next year. Wink, wink, Mark, you owe me. Next question is, how do you feel about Toys R Us closing? Honestly, I feel like I shouldn't have been as shocked as I was because they did close a number of stores and I just feel like that is never a good thing. So I guess we could have all seen it coming, but I'm just really shocked that they're closing down everything like Toys R Us, Babies R Us. And it really does suck for me because I'm not going to have a baby specific store to go to. I'm going to have to heavily rely on Amazon or just like online purchases because the closest baby specific store is not going to be Bye Bye Baby, and I think that's like an hour and 20 minutes, which is just, no, I'm not going to drive that. So now I'm going to have to go online, but I am a little sad. You know, that was where I registered both times with both the girls. I loved Babies R Us. I don't know, we never really shopped too much at Toys R Us, every now and then, but not a crazy amount. But the Babies R Us is what really gets me because I really did love that store. Next question, have you tried the Willow Pump or will you ever try the Willow Pump? No, I have not tried it, but I would like to get my hands on one and try it. I kind of have my own speculations and reservations about it, but I would like to see it in action and actually try it with myself before I ever, like, obviously gave my thoughts and opinions on it. I want to actually use the thing, but I would really like to because it's a very interesting concept. The last question, no, next to last question is, what type of activities do you do with your kids when you can't go out? We have the indoor trampoline. We've obviously have so many toys. I do educational printables, which I have videos on that. We do those as well. We have kinetic sand, Play-Doh, Mr. Potato Head, color wonder markers, which is like the markers that don't mark on anything other than the specific paper. Amazing. We have paint sets, regular coloring, tons of flashcards. Our magnetic things, we have magnetic letters and also the family builders. Love those. We do those like magnetic things on the fireplace, obviously, when there's not a fire. And we have magnet tiles in different blocks. They have a play kitchen, stuff like that. My girls are very creative, so they like things like that. And then we also do a good bit of like reading stories. The girls are very much into hardback books, but we only let them have those if we're reading them, so we make sure that they're not going to get destroyed, and they really do like that. So I want to kind of bulk up our selection with those because they would probably sit on the floor for like 45 minutes and let me read them books if we had that many, but we don't, unfortunately. So I don't know, I just kind of get creative with it. And we obviously have like a ton of dress up stuff and things because they're obsessed with Disney princesses. And we have a little shopping cart, so they do play like kitchen and store a lot too. So the river stones, that's another great thing that tires them out, is they run all over the river stones. We make obstacle courses and forts, things like that, but I just try to get creative when I can. But I mean, some days it's movie night, you know, so it really just depends. I'm not always doing an activity with my kids. I wish I had that kind of like mental endurance, but I do not. So yeah, just kind of depends day by day. And the last question is Motif, Duo, Double Electric, or Spectra S2? Motif, all the way. So I know I didn't get to all the questions because you guys are so amazing and you asked a bunch, but I did get to a lot of them, and this video is more than long enough for you guys. I actually did this Q&A this month instead of doing a March favorites. Let me know how you guys like it. I was wondering if maybe one month I should do monthly favorites and then the next month I do a Q&A. Let me know how you guys think about that, because I think it's kind of interesting. I kind of want to like pace myself as far as favorites go. I don't always continually buy new stuff, so I kind of want to like, you know, ration that kind of stuff out. And also I think the Q&As are fun, and I love hearing what you guys are curious about and answering your questions and stuff. But yeah, I have to go because I have to make dinner. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.